mayor and council, the last group we had approved everything, thought tap fees was gonna pay for everything, the economy tanked, and then we had to lay off the police department, planning department, everything got down to like 4 employees. You saved the city. I mean, I don't know if y'all know that or not, but had Mr. Hood not gone to JEPA and said, the city's broke, they can't pay their bills, and JEPA refinanced that and gave us 3 years of not making any payments. What if that happens again, Jim?
Good question. Well, Scott, you know, I'm a fairly conservative guy myself, and I am never gonna let one of my cities get in that bind. So one thing we did in our cash flow analysis, we took out all the, let's say, if we stop today and have not a other building permit, let's look at what our cash flow is. We have that borrowing, we have that debt for 20 years. Can we make it? And yes, we can. Yeah, I feel good.
There'll have to be some changes.
Well, you'd still have incremental increases, you know, inflationary increases, but you have the revenue, and you're a fairly close-knit city. I think they run a pretty tight ship with the, you know, number of operators. They do very well. But you'd probably have a 3 to 5% increase no matter what.
Right.
To keep it, but even if it stopped today, you have adequate customer base to pay the debt.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Scott.
Is the city of Houston going to contribute to the dam on the Mulberry River?
Mike, please, so that people can hear you. Thank you.
Maybe.
There we go.
There we go.
Is the city of Houston going to contribute to the dam on the Mulberry River and the diversionary channel and the pump station that they're gonna build?
That was the Auburn and Winder deal, correct?
It is.
Yeah, that come just as a surprise to us as the citizens when that come out, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I went down and talked to the engineer and
We actually received the same letter in the mail as everybody got, in their mailboxes, so.
Yeah, that was a shocker. Of course, that's a Winder Auburn joint venture. They're using the quarry, as you know, for storage. They have a withdrawal permit at the Mulberry at Covered Bridge at the county line. I've seen a few of the drawings. I do not think they're presently planning. You know, the first drawing showed they were going to build a pretty large low-rise dam, but it was going to periodically flood, I don't know, 200 acres. I don't think that's currently in the plan anymore. I think they were turned away. They do have a little diversion structure planned in the river. And of course, they've got an intake planned as well on the Little Mulberry near our church, or near Bethlehem Church over there at the old bridge. They've got one planned there too. I've looked at the numbers, and I hope they work. But we've all seen the Mulberry and how it flows at times. There's going to be some times they won't be able to pump anything out of there. But in theory, after a big rain, when the water is high, they're going to turn the pumps on and hopefully fill that quarry from both of those sources. I'm a little skeptical, but you know, I hope it works for them. But the city of Houston's never had any plans to participate in the project.
where's the water going from the quarry? Is it going to a treatment plant
Yes,
before
sir.
it comes to Houston?
No, there's a planned treatment plant at the quarry itself.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
But that water won't
Treatment
be,
plant at the quarry.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
2 million gallon a day treatment plant?
That sounds right.
That's,
Mhm.
that's what was proposed, something of that sort.
Mhm.
No, it won't come to the city of Houston, no, sir.
Oh, really?
It's a joint city of Winder and city of Auburn, from what I understand.
That's correct. What happens is that Auburn is a pretty large customer for Bear County. So once they get the water plant there in Auburn, Bear County will lose a pretty big customer. That's one reason they were very interested in dealing with Houston. Bear County is part of the Upper Oconee Basin Group, as you know, and the 4 counties, Jackson, Barrow, Oconee, and Athens-Clarke, own the reservoir, and they all own a share of the raw water. And then Oconee and Barrow and Jackson own a share into the treatment plant. Athens-Clarke treats their own water out of that reservoir with their own plant. Jackson is getting a little bit of short of water. Barrow has a fairly large, allocation of water.
Surplus.
So that made it a very attractive situation for, Barrow and the city of Houston to negotiate long-term water purchase.
I understand that, Brazelton is raising their water treatment plant 5 feet at this time. Are you aware of that? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, you're referring to their wastewater treatment plant? They don't have a water treatment plant.
No wastewater, okay.
Yeah, they're going to upgrade themselves, but they got some, and I was working on that too, but they got some soil issues where they're proposing it, so they're bringing compacting soil in to
Surging.
compact and
Well,
surge the
they're gonna
ground.
move 600,000 yards, from what I understand, from one side of 124 to the other side of 124, and then move the topsoil back over to the place where they get the hard dirt back over to the treatment plant. So I guess the concern is, there's a reason they're raising it 5 feet. And if they're gonna raise it 5 feet, because I know at one time they were concerned, and Hushton was concerned also about all the residents along the Mulberry River having their properties flooded by this thing that Winder's doing. So, I don't know how much interaction you have with the city of Winder in regards to this dam or diversionary channel or pumping station, but
Yeah, that situation with Browse, I don't believe correlates anything with that. They're essentially having to bring in that amount of dirt to compact the current ground, and then they're gonna remove it and take it off. That it's just a compact and surge dirt.
Right.
They're not raising anything that I'm aware of,
It's,
but that's
it's temporary.
yeah, it's a temporary.
They had two choices when they did the soil borings, and the soil was so poor there. They could have up to 80 feet, 80-foot long pilings to put their structures in, or they could, the geotechnical engineer that everybody's used around here, there's another procedure where you go in and surge the soil, you put in mounds of dirt, leave it sitting for about 6 months, and basically it compresses. They keep track of it, and then they, once it compresses the soil, you can remove that layer and then put your structures on it. It works. We did that in Blairsville years ago, so I know it does work.
So you pack the dirt down into the dirt.
The weight of the dirt compacts the dirt underneath it. That's because if they wouldn't have done that option, actually a cost saving measure, I believe. If they wouldn't have done that option, their pilings, they would have to drive 80 foot long pilings in the ground to put these tanks.
Oh, yeah.
It was a substantial cost savings from my understanding.
Oh, absolutely.
But with your question, I don't believe that correlates or goes
Right,
along with
right.
anything to do with this Auburn
That's correct.
quarry thing. That's just something they had to do as a construction engineer process.
well, I mean, I think it's a concern to the residents of Cushing that they build this dam or whatever they're planning on doing there at the bridge. Backs, I mean, there's already, I think once or twice this year already, I know my pasture has raised about 4 foot of water during flood stage. I own 60 acres right across the river from Cushing. And if it raises another 5 feet, and the Houston properties, along Deer Creek and along there, their property's gonna be flooded more than mine because they are lower. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of connections y'all have with City of Winder and Barrow County. I think it's City of Winder that's doing all this, from what I can tell.
Yes, sir.
Barrow County.
Yeah, from what I understand. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think they have the plan to do what they had originally planned, because there's been no further easement acquisition activities. And I think the way it went down, public relation wise, all of a sudden they just had somebody going out trying to acquire easements without any information. I think that's why it was so heavily resisted. I still don't think people would be signing easements away for that project anyway, but the public relations, the way it started to begin with, was.
They wanted to take my whole property and flood it and make a swamp. No way, Jack.
No.
I think I can help this gentleman, because there's some people in our neighborhood on that back street, back there, Buckground,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Huey had hired an attorney to fight that deal.
Uh-huh.
And I'll be happy to, if you wanna give me your email, I can have him send you all the legal correspondence he's had with Wiseman.
Yes,
I
sir.
think Winder.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys, I think this is a really good time. Brett has, with the help of others, he can explain it, did a really cool video. Are you ready to show that video?
Yeah, we can.
I think it's fascinating. I hope you all will too. Do you think it's okay to show it now?
We can. This don't have no sound or nothing. This is a drone video of our wastewater plant. Scott has seen the plant. Many have seen it, but many have not. This is just currently what our plant looks like, and we'll try to show you, and we'll pause kind of like where some new stuff is going to go during this upgrade. And I don't know if we've got the plan on that computer of the new stuff, but we can kind of explain what's going on. But with the help of Ben Stevens, the fire chief, he was gracious enough to send his drone pilot out. He helped us out here and shot this video for it. So I want to thank Ben Stevens and the fire department at West Jackson for allowing this to happen. This could have done without him. Good little video. I think it's a 2.5 minute long video, no sound, just kind of a quick flyover of the plant. So if Jennifer don't tear it up first.
And that's it, thank you.
Go hit the button with the arrow to the left.
Oh, boy.
There we go. Uh-oh. Might have to exit and restart it.
Do we sell our solid stuff to Earthworks down in South Atlanta?
No, sir.
Okay.
I do think, the biosolids that are generated at the wastewater plants, I think it's a real waste of resources to keep hauling it to our landfills. Everybody does it, but I think it's a waste of resources.
The only reason I ask is outdoor environment cells, two-legged compost.
Yeah.
It comes from wastewater treatment.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
Talking about like, talking about mill organite?
I was wondering about buying all.
You can pause it.
Yeah. I do. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Hey, but speaking on that, just real quick, I think the large wastewater plant in Gwinnett, they actually retract their phosphorus somehow and sell it to they've partnered with a fertilizer company and they do that, but it's unbelievably expensive. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, what are we looking at?
Coming in the gate, you'll see the little structure on the right. That's our headworks, our screening, where all the incoming sewer gets screened. That on the left is our EQ pond. When flows get high, we can kind of divert to that pond, kind of help out some. That tank right there is our digester. That's where our excess solids that we don't need anymore go, and we aerate it to keep them alive and kind of thicken them up. Pause it right there, please. That is our main treatment tank called our aeration tank or our orbital. It's got a disc aeration in it, and it's about 15 foot tall. It's 500,000 gallon capacity a day. Your main treatment, your biological process all happens here. Air is your best friend at a wastewater plant. And you got your different biological processes, nitrification, luxury uptake for any kind of biological removal. And you hit play. It goes there and it'll hang a left right here. This is our last upgrade. This was a $2 million upgrade we'd done in 2021, started in 2020. It was about a 11-month upgrade. This was the addition of two 35-foot diameter, 15-foot tall clarifiers. These are secondary clarifiers. Essentially, this is where after your main treatment process, your aeration goes to these clarifiers, and this gives it a nice calm spot for everything to settle out. and then it goes on to the next process. So it'll be clear water leaving here, going through the next process. That was a heck of a project there, and it was, we were permitted beforehand for 500,000 a day, but we weren't quite able to do that with the process and the tanks we had.
Could you
Doing
hold
this
that for a minute, Jennifer?
Pause.
Something that Brett passes over, because he does it every day and takes it lightly. When you're looking at some of these pictures, those stairwells and stuff, if you go to a lot of water sewer treatment plants, they're filthy. And the grass is growing everywhere, and it's not taken care of. And something that you see beyond the water, look at the plant, look how clean that is and how good a care he takes of all that. A lot of this equipment that we have wouldn't last near this long. But I mean, he's literally out there every day looking at that. Another thing that he passed over a little bit that I found amazing as just a citizen was, to the point we're looking at right now, there's not one chemical used. When we break down the doo-doo and all that other stuff, he uses bacteria. And it's interesting because when that water comes out at the end, and he's going to show that to you, there's been no chemicals to treat, and it's going right back into the stream. And where it's coming out, where he's doing his work, you could basically, if you've ever watched the show Naked and Afraid, you could basically drink this water. I wouldn't suggest it, but you could. But one of the things that he constantly overlooks, even when I've gone out there and walked around with him, is how clean this area is and how well it's taken care of. And I just take my hat off to him, and you got a good guy here working for the city, so I hope we all appreciate that. The other thing he tells me, and he says, I wish the citizens would know this. The worst thing you could possibly do in your toilet is flush down one of those hand wipes. The little things that you clean your tables with and all that say flushable.
They're not flushable.
Please don't use them. So I'm sorry for interrupting, but
No,
I just had to say
you're
that.
fine, and I appreciate it. I really do. Like I said, I take pride in what I do every day. I've been given the opportunity to take care of a place and run something. And if I'm gonna put my name on it and put my state license on it, that's what I'm gonna do. So this project was good. It was completed in August of '22 and been in operation. There's me standing in the driveway in that pretty blue shirt. That is our operations building, our shop, our maintenance. Pause it, please. This currently houses everything, so I've got a lot of stuff down here at this plant. It houses our public works, our water department, our sewer department, everything. Yes, the filter, the filtration. So when it leaves those tanks, what Scott's referring to is our disc filter. And I actually just got brand new cloths put on there today, Scott, and I'll show you some pictures here shortly. I was very proud of those. So it leaves that, it goes through those clarifiers, it comes into that building, about where that big garage door is, and it goes through a filter and gets filtered to an even finer degree, even cleaner. Because we are a UV disinfection plant. Every wastewater plant in the United States has to have a process called disinfection. Kills all your bacteria, protozoa, and viruses before it goes out into the stream or the waterway. Most people use, the oldest form is bleach or chlorine bleach or gas. It's much safer nowadays, and what we use is UV disinfection. Pretty much you're taking a tanning bed and laying it on that sand and putting it in the stream of water. The UV bulbs don't necessarily kill or get rid of the bacteria or protozoa. It inactivates it so it can't reproduce, so you're disinfecting. So with UV, we have to filter it to make the water cleaner. It leaves there and it goes down to that structure. There's our pole barn. We've got a bunch of equipment there. That structure, the little green roof structure, is our UV. At night, it's a nice, pretty green glow. Just got some upgrades done to it yesterday as well. A lot's been done there in the last 2 days that I'm very excited for. That very tall structure is that's our dewatering building, where we got a machine in there that'll get rid of our excess solids that we don't need, and that'll go in kind of what Scott Butler was talking about a minute ago, our solids that we take to the landfill or can use as fertilizer or something. Yeah, there's money in that. You can do that, but there's so much legwork that goes into it, and so many hurdles to cross to even get approved to even start doing that. And Jerry probably knows more about that than I do, but So we dispose of ours by landfill, just like, about 99% of the other plants in this country do. And yes, it costs the city, but it's one thing we have to do to you gotta keep your plant happy, you gotta keep your microorganisms alive, and you gotta do what you gotta do with this plant to make it run.
And tell whose office is this?
That is, Randy Johnson, radio, if anybody, knows radio that's been in Houston a long time. He runs my press for me. He's up there, 5 days a week, and he keeps that press running. Yeah, he's moved on from cutting grass, and now he's my, press operator, so.
Wow.
He's been with me, been here longer than I've been here, I can tell you that.
So how many tons would you say a week you generate in the biosolids?
We send out, about 3 tons a week. Yes. So going down here, we go through, our Cascade aerator. After it leaves our disinfection process, this is right before it goes into the creek. We have to bring the dissolved oxygen level up in the water before we send it to the receiving bodies, to keep the fish happy. So it'll go through, pretty much a set of concrete steps. And as it goes down those stairs, that Cascade aerator, it brings the dissolved oxygen up of the water. You see as it,
It's a man-made
bubbles.
waterfall.
Yep. It's a man-made waterfall, essentially.
That's it.
So, very quick little video, but that's just kind of gives you an overrun of what we deal with now. Out in that field next to those clarifiers, that open spot, where majority of the new plant will go. We are doing it in 2 phases. It'll be eventually at the end of the process by 2028, 2029, it'll be a 2 million gallon a day plant. We are doing it in 2 phases. The first phase, will take us up to 950,000 gallons a day. But we are putting in this first phase a lot of the permanent equipment for the 2.0. So we're putting in some of that in ahead of time because there's no sense in tearing something out and going back and doing it. So there'll be a large, very large 120 by 120 building out in that field that'll house several processes inside that building, so it won't be out in the weather and in the elements. So a lot of stuff will be indoors. And there'll be several more, there'll be about 4 more of those clarifiers that you see there. So that will be tore down. What you're talking about, the phase separator, which you'll see it here in a second. That's actually out of use right now, out of service. Those 2 replace that.
Me too.
Yeah, we'll have to tear that thing out to put one of the new oxidation aeration tanks in.
Yep.
So.
Is that
Yes, sir.
the liquid's going to a creek?
Yes, sir. We discharge into Sale Creek, which is a tributary of Indian Creek, which then goes to the Mulberry River. We have a discharge there for 500,000 gallons a day of waste load allocation.
Anybody consider spray fields rather than dumping it into a creek?
Jerry can touch on that more than I can, but it takes a lot of property to do that. Now, when we go through a process of upgrading a plant or building a new plant, we have to do the DDR.
And any degradation analysis and
Mhm.
economic analysis.
We
On
have to-
every plant in the whole state of Georgia, if you expand your wastewater plant or build a new one, you have to go through a process to do just what you're doing. Why don't we spray?
You gotta go through different options before they say, hey, what you've planned
Do
is
an
the
economic
best option.
analysis for that very thing.
Yes.
In Houston's case, on your .95, what they do is make you, okay, we're gonna consider giving you a new discharge permit for the .95. However, you gotta do 2 things. You gotta send a letter to everybody that's around you and see if they got capacity where you can go to them. You have to send a letter, can you treat 950,000 gallons a day for us? We've gotta get a letter back, put that in the report. Second thing, okay, you get a soils analysis from the UGA on all the reasonably located pieces of land in and around Houston. And the 2 we had closest was the Perkle Farm, and the other one was the Kennerly Farm. So we had to analyze, okay, if we go to land application, what's going to be the cost compared to direct discharge? And when you start paying $85,000 an acre for land, and then you're having to build this huge spray irrigation system, all the controls, and then you have to have a holding pond that will hold 90 days worth of wastewater if you get a big, seasonal rain, so you gotta have a big storage pond. By and large, especially it probably could work out very well in middle to South Georgia where you can still purchase land for under $1,000 an acre. But, around here, I have never seen one to play out for the spray irrigation. But back in the 80s, EPA and EPD both, pretty well were forcing everyone to go to land application. Brazelton was one of the first land application systems in Georgia, municipally owned. City of Helen was another. But by and large, everybody in the middle 80s to middle 90s had to go to land application. I know Clayton County put in a land application system down near the airport back during that era, and that was the headwaters of the Flint River. Pretty well dried up the Flint River because none of the water was going back into the basin. So I think as technology has improved and our treatment methods have improved, it's been, well, maybe land application everywhere wasn't such a great idea because they much rather see the water purified to the degree that you have to do it, put it back in the stream where it can be used for downstream users. Does that make sense? That answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just curious how many municipalities are dumping treated sewage into the Mulberry, which is going to come back and push it into the drinking water, I think.
Yes, sir. We are drinking the same water that Adam and Eve drank. Absolutely. We're Georgia has published what we call direct and indirect potable reuse regulations. Matter of fact, Brazelton discharges treated effluent at their plant to the tune of about 1 MGD, and just 5 miles down the road near Rockwell Church Road is the intake for City of Winder. And I live in Winder. I'm drinking water that Brazelton's placing in the river. So de facto, we have been drinking the same water over and over and recycling it. We're just doing a lot better job of cleaning it up. A lot better. But there's concerns about what they call unregulated contaminants. We've been looking at unregulated contaminants for about 2 decades now, and those include personal care products, pharmaceuticals that the wastewater treatment plant don't take out. And we have some concerns that water that we keep recycling over and over is going to have, what's it going to do to our bodies? How bad is it? Been a lot of research and development there. More recently, there's been a lot of focus on PFAS, PFAS, and that's a chemical they call it the forever chemical. And those come off of stain-resistant carpeting and clothing, non-stick cooking utensils, the foam they use at airports and that sort of thing, PFAS. There's some concern with those. Been a lot of research and development on that. It's in our bodies. It's in our water. It's in our sewer. We just don't know how much. At some point in time, all of our cities will begin to have to test for that. There's some communities now where the intake is so close to somebody else's discharge that those communities, when they expand, they're going to have to start doing a wide variety of tests and see how much PFAS is in the water. They don't know what they're going to tell us we got to do about it, but we got to test for it. We don't know. The regulation, what we're seeing in a lot of the preliminary tests is some of the effluents and some of the water supplies, we have somewhere around 8 to 12 parts per trillion or PFAS. And EPA has just set out a regulation last month that our effluent from our wastewater plants and our drinking water plants are going to have to bring that down to at least 4 parts per trillion. So what we have to do there is we have to do either our water supply or our wastewater treatment to a higher level. and that'll require something like what we call GACs, or granular activated carbon filtration. And that'll run cost up. So if Houston had to do that in their wastewater plant, they're going to about a 1 MGD wastewater plant. If they are all of a sudden said, okay, Houston, you gotta add GACs to your project, that would probably hit us up for about an additional $5 million. Yeah.
Is that something like what Flowery Branch is having to go?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Mhm. So we continue to get our water and cleaner, but we continue to find more and more things that we've got to test for and get out of there. So it's a never-ending battle.
Brett, Jerry, I have a question from somebody texted me to
Okay.
ask you.
Okay.
What happens to the water when we dump our medicine down the drain?
When we dump what?
Medicine,
Medicine?
pills, they
Well-
said, like, cold medicine
Mhm.
and pills. Or down the toilet, you flush them down the
Yeah.
toilet.
Probably should not do that,
Mhm.
because a lot of those, pharmaceuticals and particles never go away, and it'll continue to build up in
Mhm.
the chain. Yeah, I think we should not do that. But if we take a pill, it's gonna get back in there, you know what I'm talking about.
you're gonna digest it. If you ingest medicine, then it's gonna eventually come back into the wastewater anyway,
Oh, yeah,
so.
it'll just be quicker if you drop the thing
Yeah.
of pills, yeah,
So
yeah.
tell everybody, which is why I love this story.
How long until this method to your system?
So if you live in Crestwind, how long does it take to get the wastewater plant?
Crestwood or
Yeah.
Deer Creek or Billy?
I would see it within 6 hours. And it would go through the plant. The plant's got a detention time of 12, so by the time it leaves your restroom until it goes back into Cell Creek, 18 to 24 hours.
And Deer Creek, we're on septic tank, so what does that take, a week or two?
Yeah. Depends on your perk rate.
Years.
Yeah.
And anything that gets flushed down the toilet, we see it.
We see it.
Mhm.
And I tell you,
Everything.
I've seen some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Even money.
Mm-hmm.
I decided not to go after
Did you see a cell phone?
No, that's probably a heavy object. It's probably stuck in your drain line somewhere.
It'll degrade over 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, also, you want to explain your license, that you're a dual operator?
Yeah, I'm a dual licensed operator through the state, Secretary of State. Went to schooling for that and got certified. Georgia's backwards is 3-2-1, 1 being the highest level on both sides. I'm a dual licensed Class 2 operator through the state of Georgia for both the drinking water treatment and wastewater treatment through the state.
So right now we go, our purified water goes into Sells Creek right there, at the plant. When the city saw the expansion coming, we applied for what we call a waste load allocation with EPD. We applied for, additional waste load, 0.95, and then go into 2 MGD. And we did ask to stay in Sells Creek where we are, but there's not enough water in there. They want at least a 1-to-1 ratio when you have say you have a hot summer and you're only having like 20 cubic feet per second of water. They don't want to have more treated wastewater than you have water in the stream, so they said, no. What's your other choice? And we went down below Sells Mill into Indian Creek. A lot more water, a lot more drainage basin there. So that's where our waste load allocation is. The thing is, part of this plant expansion, we'll put in a wastewater pumping station at the plant, and the clean wastewater will be pumped down Amy Industrial to Jackson's Railroad to go beyond the mill house down to the creek, and we'll build an artificial waterfall right there on Indian Creek, and that's where our future flow will go into.
Yeah, so instead of it just leaving right out the back of the plant like it does now, we'll have to pump it 1.8 miles down the road. So
Jerry, do you want to explain what you do you test the waters and you shock the fish?
Yeah.
I think that's also
Yes,
fascinating.
One thing that Houston's been doing really, that's kind of not well known, but, for the last 22 years, Houston has been involved in a four-way partnership with the Jackson County Water and Sewer Authority, the, city of Jefferson, and the city of Maysville in an annual, watershed, monitoring process. Because, Jefferson wanted to expand, Houston wanted to expand, and, Jackson County Water and Sewer Authority wanted to all expand their wastewater plants. Anytime you go to EPD and want to expand your wastewater plant, you have to, initiate what they call a watershed assessment. And basically, they want Houston, for instance, to look at your watershed on a holistic basis. Look at everything that's going on in the basin. We want to be good stewards of the water. You're involved in stormwater, as you well know, and wastewater. And the expansion of the wastewater plant is going to allow for future development. So how are you going to manage that future development? How are you going to protect the watershed with all that going on? So a watershed assessment costs about $100,000, or it did 20 years ago. So rather than Houston, Maysville, Jefferson, and Jackson County Water and Sewer Authority all having to do that, we could do one for $100,000, or we could do all four parts under one umbrella and do it for that. So everybody agreed that that was a good idea. And ever since then, we've been doing the annual monitoring. Once you get the watershed assessment approved, then every year you have to analyze what's going on in your watershed. Each community, Maysville, Jefferson, and Houston all have sampling points. You have one upstream of your city on the Mulberry, one downstream on Indian Creek, and you've been sampling that for you sample it for chemical, biological, color, hardness, you name it, we sample for that 4 times a year. We also, every other year, we have to do a fish sample, see how the fish how are they doing? You know, how is the environment for fish? And basically, we have biologists that are trained and certified to actually use a shocking device, and they'll go in the stream and stun the fish, and then capture them long enough to identify. And it's amazing the number of species you do have in the waterways. And what it does when you're doing that, you're counting how many you have per cubic yard of water. And that tells you a lot of how healthy the stream is. And it's gone up and down, but generally it's stayed the same. In some cases, actually, in all the communities, it's improved a little bit. Hadn't got worse. That's one thing they don't want they don't want to get it worse. The biggest issue we have in our streams in this area is sediment. And we're going to have that in Georgia. When you get a 6-inch rain, no matter what your BMPs are, you're going to have sand and stuff, flowing. You're going to have sediment. And the other thing is fecal coliform. Some of that naturally occurs with animals and cattle operations, that sort of thing. The fecal count has not increased. Nothing's really it hadn't got worse over 22 years. I think Indian Creek's actually got a little bit better. But you do that, you do that in partnership with those other 3 entities, and it's been very good. Usually we have to submit that every year by June 30th. Everybody gets a copy of it. It's usually about that thick, and then we have to send the whole digital file on all the test results to Georgia EPD. They put it in this giant computer system, and they allegedly have the whole state modeled. And that helps them if we go in for a waste load allocation. Well, they pull this huge model up, and they have 2 very, very smart guys that's all they do all day long down at EPD is model and model and model, respond to waste load allocation requests, that sort of thing, and review those reports. But it's been successful. I think your cost, I think a single city right now, the cost if you do the annual testing on your own, it's about 50 to 60,000. I think Houston's share is about 10 or 12, about that. So, economical way, you're still meeting the letter of the law, and you're being a good steward.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do, about Deer Creek Farms. There might 4 other people, not me. So, I mean, obviously, we got a 4-foot culvert, Deer Creek Trail, right? And you got 2 6-footers or 8-footers feeding it. You got a pond overflowing, and what's it called, detention pond that's overgrown. And my land's just deteriorating. I'm just curious. You came out of my house.
Is this from the stormwater runoff, water?
Yeah.
Okay.
And tires are flowing down my creek. I've been picking them out, and I'm getting tired.
This is what Joe's
It's like a
been,
landfill between Wildflower and my property. It's a landfill. There's old carpet. Now Georgia Power went through, cleaned up, and all this crap came up. You know, I mean, you came out of my
in the
house.
runoff, in the creek or the dry ditch coming down to your house or the
Oh,
creek?
yeah, there's a V, it runs together. The pond from Wildflower is overflowing. I mean, it's about ready to break the dam. If I went there with a hatchet, it'd run away.
I believe there's a work order in, or Joe's looking at a work order for that.
Yes, I
That
know,
pond.
I've seen emails, I'm just,
Yeah. I'm not involved in this, with the stormwater at this moment.
obviously there's a problem. My kid,
Mhm.
when I bought the property in 21, my kid crossed with the 4-wheeler.
Mhm.
I mean, there was turtles going across the creek. Now it's 12 foot deep, 8 foot wide. You ought to fly that drone over my property and see. And it's between Dane Ehrenhardt and my property, Roland Wecker,
What's your address?
at 378 Deer Creek Trail. I'd love to show you guys. I
Okay.
really would. I think you came out to my house once with Shannon, about 3 years ago, 4 years.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and then Shannon came out and said, oh, that retention pond's really working good because that's a good sign, trees are growing in, and I was like, really? And then you came out later and you said, well, we've been trying to get them to clean that out. Well, I'm just, you
Yeah, I
know,
believe that's what we've got them with, working with HOA on now.
no, and I'm just asking, you know, I'm just concerned because it's not just that. Georgia Power had before they had a barbed wire fence up there, that whole barbed wire fence is washed away, and their poles were starting to, you know, tip.
On that,
All the
on that
poles
long,
going
on that,
towards Ball Diamond,
huh,
where they're putting
Oh,
the
that
new
large power
station.
right of way on, behind the property.
Right, now they put the new power station there, they cleaned it all up, there's old carpet, there's tires, I got tires going down to my creek.
wow.
Jennifer, can you get a hold of Georgia Power about that tomorrow?
I'm making a note.
Thank you.
I mean, they cleaned it up, that's how everybody found everything, I got pictures, and then Scott had it, I think he emailed it to you. I'm just, oh yeah, there's 4 tires in there now, I'm tired of picking them out, they come between Wildflower and my property. It's a creek, it's literally like a canyon back there. I'd love to show you guys.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
We'll go out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
We will.
I got side-by-sides enough,
Yeah, we'll go out there.
I'd love to show you.
Could I ask you to give your, contact number to Jennifer?
I've got your
So we can
address,
make arrangements to do that.
863-529-1482,
863.
529,
Thank you, Roland.
it's a Florida number,
Okay. And your first name?
Roland,
Roland.
R-O-L-A-N-D, last name Weckerman, W-E-C-K-E-N-M-A-N-N. I'd love you guys just to see it, you know, it's amazing how it just washed everything away, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I remember, that was like 4 years ago after we had that big flood.
yeah, you back right up to the Georgia Power right of way, right?
Yes, sir.
And then
Just
that
looking at
creek
it right now.
runs on your north side of that's your property line. Then it crosses
Yeah, you see
over.
a barn, It leads into it.
I do. Right in there.
That's my barn, yeah, and then all them, now, a couple of them poles were falling over, now they put all the big ones in, so it's, I'm just saying that creek
Yeah.
from that pond runs there, it ate all that away, and that one pole was leaning. And I knew somebody worked at Georgia Power, and they checked it out, and they came and looked.
Gotcha.
But, there's like, I counted over 100 tires back there in between. Now, do you want me to call EPA, or you guys wanna look at it? I mean,
Is that,
From a historical perspective on that street wildflower, that for you.
Well, that was my question, where'd the tires come from,
that's
yeah?
what I was gonna ask.
There's carpet rolled up, it didn't show until Georgia Power went through there, because they had to get the poles. See, they put that new power station up.
Right.
There's a gravel road there before, I knew it was there, I always said. I've called, and I've tried everything, then I gave up.
So that street.
And we've got more done, it's been here, than ever, I'll be honest.
It had a dirt driveway that came off White Trillium down beside that pond, that's over top of now.
Mm.
And evidently, people were using it as a tire dump,
Ah.
because I was
As
shocked.
a tire what?
Tire dump?
Tire dump.
Really?
But I don't know who, there was a couple places in town that changed tires, I don't know who did it, maybe it was local, I don't know where it came from.
Wow.
When I went back there, because I used to hunt over there, because Dr. Perkins gave me permission.
Well, me and you got together, and I said, you gotta look at this.
And I was stunned at the number of tires. And what happens is, that creek, that pond, the stormwater, overflow valve.
From Wildflower?
No longer working.
No, the valve is like 10 feet down, but it's flowing over the
And
top.
so now, it's about 24 to 30 inch wide overflow constant now. When it rains, that becomes 10 feet, about 9 feet wide. I went over there and measured it, and about 6 inches deep.
So many tires in my creek.
So now,
And that's way down, that's in Deer Creek Trail, not,
overflow is just.
not, this is not from Wildflower. This, they flowed it all the way down.
Wow.
Mm.
I mean, I pick them out, I try to get rid of them. That's in Deer Creek Trail, right there. That's right where you guys put them little orange posts up in May flood,
Okay.
which it should say,
I mean, look-
will flood.
Look at the date on it, just March.
That's why I looked at this,
Yeah.
to see
Mm-hmm.
where we were at.
Okay.
I think our fear is.
I can show you a video, I go back there sometimes when it rains, and I drive up there, and you literally see it eating the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Eroding it away.
I'd love to show you.
We will, we're gonna call you, on Monday and set something
I
up.
got two side by side, we'll go back there,
We'll go back there with you.
rain or shine.
Yes, not a problem.
Thank you, Roland. I really appreciate you
Thank
bringing
you.
that to our attention.
I think the cop brought it up already, but we'll do it again. Thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Call me anytime, I can leave work anytime.
Yeah, we'll certainly set something up.
Any other questions?
Can I ask a couple of really quick questions that I should probably know the answer to? And then one comment, I'll do the comment first. Flushing your medications, don't do it. Hospitals, pharmacies, and, do drug take-backs.
Sheriff's
And-
Department does too.
I'm sorry?
The Sheriff's Department does too.
Sheriff's
right?
Department does it, and then I just went to this Keep Jackson County Beautiful Recycling Day on, April 20th.
They do.
And they have it in the fall as well. It's the first time I've done that, and I've been here for many years. It was so well run, highly recommend, 10 out of 10. Drove through there with 6 tires, my limit, not out of the creek,
Ah.
not out of the creek. I take my tires, anyway, paint, all kinds of, and you just stop and they take this, and you stop and they take that. I didn't even have to get out of the truck. Donated old cell phones, donate old glasses. The Lions Club will use those for people who can't afford glasses. But all that, I know that's kind of off topic, but it does come back to the drugs. I know I take drugs that I dispose of to my hospital. We have black boxes. It's disposed of responsibly. That keeps it out of the water system, so we maybe don't have to test for it in the future and figure out a way to get it back out of the water system. And I highly recommend that Keep Jackson County Beautiful recycle program. Take the drugs there, or the sheriff's office. Question, North Tower, full when? Is it gonna be just a ballpark idea?
Winter of this year. We got the booster pump station, they got the lines ran for the booster pump station. Waiting on the package unit, and I got an estimated delivery of mid-July as of Thursday, which is way better than what it was. It was, out till October, November, but they've moved it up. It's a package unit, so we're having to boost the pressure from Jackson County to be able to fill that tank. And this booster pump station has been dragging on with the lead time on it. It's been something else trying to get that booster pump station done.
Yes.
So, but yeah, late fall, early winter.
And when that one's full, we'll still be using this one?
No, ma'am, it'll be.
It's already gonna go offline? Okay.
Yeah, because this got a much higher datum, a much
Okay.
higher elevation
Okay.
than our current tank. This one's about a 1020.
Yeah.
And that new tank's about elevation of 1085.
And then there's a future tank on Joe Pina?
There will be, yes, ma'am.
So, like, is that 10 years out? What you think?
No, we had a pre-con for that tank last week.
Okay.
Estimated construction start will be June of this year.
Of this year?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And it's a 365-day contract.
They came in to meet with us from what state?
Last Thursday.
No, what state did they come from?
Ohio, Kentucky.
Kentucky.
I have one in Kentucky and one in Indiana.
They
Yeah.
drove all the way down here to meet with us. So. they're
Do we
ready.
think that'll need a booster I'm sorry.
The booster pump will pressurize the system, which will fill both tanks.
Thank you.
So you're boosting the pressure of the system to have the ability to fill the tanks when your demand is low in your system.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yep. So that'll be the same at a match elevation, 1085.
Mm-hmm.
That tank, the new tank's 138 feet tall. The south tank will be a little bit taller, 140. I ain't looked at the plan. I ain't got familiar with those plans.
Close, go ahead.
143, I believe.
147, pretty close.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and then, but you know, every foot of water is 0.43 PSI. So with these new tanks coming online, everybody will see about a 20-pound increase in the pressure. So that'll be real exciting for all the customers in the city. You know, we're mandated to maintain at least 20 PSI in the system. And we're averaging somewhere around 38 to 40 right now. But with this new tank, everybody should see roughly 50 to 60 pounds of pressure in the town. So that'll be good. Getting the new tanks online will help out a lot. And it'll give us our extra days of storage and our capacity, so.
And you're gonna start seeing, signs out, tomorrow, that we're gonna get ready to do our construction on our, phase 1B.
Yeah, we're installing, more, 12-inch water main up the highway to, for faster delivery of water and fire flow and capacity to get to the newer tank faster. So, we've already done the first phase. It was about 6,000 feet. We ran from Joe Pina all the way down the highway to White Street, and we're gonna connect over and go on towards the tank.
Yeah, our goal is to get, have 1,000 gallons a minute on all the normal areas, and then 1,500 gallons a minute of, fire protection in the commercial areas and then in the higher density areas.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get our fire rating down. Love to get down, we're a 4 now, I'd like to get down to a 2, a 3.
I think we might be a 3
Anyway,
now.
we're always,
Yeah.
always trying to get it down.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the projected time schedule for running the 12-inch line from the roundabout on 211 to the bridge? And then what's the projection for the hookup there and running 12-inch up to, where's it going, to 53?
53. So it'll be a two-part. First part would be for Bear County to run that line from the roundabout to us, and that'll go ahead and get us some water right off the rip. That's estimated December of 25 or January of 26.
26.
Yeah, so about 18 months. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty quick.
Yeah, they're still in their engineering design.
That's quick. That's quick in our world.
In government.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
so, and then, that'll get us water immediately, once we do that. And then, like Mr. Hood was explaining earlier, eventually to receive the full 2 million, we'll have to run a parallel 12 on our side, along with our 8 to the highway.
So you're gonna wait until Barrett County gets it to the bridge before y'all start working on the bridge. Basically, that's the second part.
Correct.
And what's the projection on that? 27.
We're looking at about 27, aren't we? Yep, yes, sir.
No rush.
So, well, it's gonna get us every bit of water we need right off the rip, and then to get the full 2 million, it'll need to run the extra 12.
How many gallons? You're gonna be getting 2 million gallons through the 12-inch pipe?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, thank you, Brett. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you, well, hopefully we'll see you before next month, but, next month is planning and zoning, and the month after that is really an important one, and that's when we're taking suggestions on how you want me to book the rest of the year for more. I've got more planned, but I want your input, so, anyway, always, again, thank you, Ben, for coming and taking these great notes. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.